Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Huddle. We're your weekly podcast to help you gain forward progress in your flooring career. To all you new viewers, welcome to the team. To those always with us, thanks for joining. What's up, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing
Oh
today?
no.
Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. Everybody geared up for Christmas?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, no.
No,
Well, it's
I'm
that time of
Scrooge.
year. You
I'm
got
Scrooge.
jobs going or what?
Yep, we do. Well, I mean,
Well, we
we
all
try
got
to get
jobs
it all
going, but
done.
any of those Christmas crunch projects?
Just one.
Just one.
Where they close everything down and you have to get it done in this small window.
This one is actually a residential project, so
Oops. You know what? They went through some. They were indecisive at first, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to get everything done for them by Christmas as a gift, since they kind of inherited a home or took it over, I should say, and
I
it
was
needed
trying
a.
to help a family out. Good deal.
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Giving just a moment here for some people to join. This week is, I believe, episode 6 of the Blue Collar Cruise. I
yes,
think this is our
sir.
sixth one, isn't it?
Yep.
The
I
Blue
mean, at
Collar
least
Cruise,
that's
where
what
we go over.
Ashlyn has on there, so we just kind of have to
Well,
trust
I got to roll with it then. Whatever I say goes.
her.
That's from
It's pretty
your
legit.
neighborhood podcast director in the background, Miss Ashlyn. Yeah, so the Blue Collar Cruise, where for those of you who don't know, it's where we kind of scour the internet for some relevant, interesting topics to the construction industry. Sometimes it's flooring, sometimes just overall construction trends, data, that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's kind of serious. So we want to, find stuff that's interesting and we just kind of rap about it and give our comments. We encourage you guys in the audience to give your comments as well. And this is like I said, number 6. Had good luck with these so far, and I love doing them. They're fun. So we are going to. I'm just going to start off by saying that this episode is sponsored by Floor Cloud. And so we'll be playing a video from our sponsors here in a bit. But just as a kind of an overview of our topics, we got IT failures that pose major financial risk to companies. I have a very personal story about this, so that should be fun. AI rush is fueling tech debt tsunami. This is in regards to people who are not staying up with technology. You start to gain a thing as a company called technical debt, meaning you're so far behind, you spend a bunch of money to kind of catch up and do business the way that a lot of times it's required by your customers. I think of Procore in that manner and other
Yep.
technologies that come out and you just have to use them. We got the science behind hard hats, how to protect your brain. And then, if we get to it, a really interesting article on a 12-story building in Finland that's built totally out of wood. And so the question is, will future skyscrapers be made out of wood? Our first topic being one close to my heart, failures and major financial risk to companies from IT. But there's also major failures and financial risk to us flooring contractors for, moisture, problems on projects not being ready, site conditions. And that's where our sponsor for today, Floor Cloud, comes in and, you know, provides a modern day. This kind of plays right into the other stuff, getting up with technology. It's a modern day way of transporting your project site conditions right to your fingertips. It'll help you to increase your efficiency and profitability when you know what your jobs are doing without having to drive out to them all the time or send and mobilize crews just to find out the project's not ready because they don't have windows in or HVAC on or your moisture readings are too high. So let's roll with a video now from Floor Cloud.
Floor Cloud enables real-time monitoring of your job site conditions via desktop or mobile device. No more manual checking for temperature, humidity, or even dew point. No need for base stations, Wi-Fi, or external power sources. Simply scan the QR code on the front of your sensors and you're up and running with the most accurate and innovative site monitoring system in the flooring industry. Dispatch your crews with confidence and reduce your climate-related installation issues. Floor Cloud.
Now you know.
Yes, sir. Except for we had one of ours allegedly thrown away because I had it on the temporary power on one of the jobs, and the electrician said, I told my guys to throw the whole thing away because they got paint on it.
Oh my God.
You don't know what you don't know. We should make
Well,
some
I know you
slogans
guys are
too.
huge
This is not
believers in
trash.
Floor Cloud, and the setup is simple and easy. So you'll be able to set up a new sensor straight away. But you got to buy one, right? You got to replace it then, huh?
Yeah, we've still got 4 of them, so we're good for a minute.
Wow. So they got paint on it. So they said they
Well,
threw it,
the electrician's temp box and everything got paint on it, so he had them throw the entire board and everything that was on it in the trash.
oh my God. And so you had it attached to the board.
Yep.
All right. Well, not only do you get to learn about Floor Cloud, you also get to learn about what not to do with your
There you
Floor
go.
Cloud sensors. So don't put them on temporary things that can be, the temporary electrical
All I
boxes
had,
and
Paul,
walls that they
they
build
were
and throw them away.
they were still mud and walls and stuff when I went and started going in there.
You know what? That's what he needs to put on there. He needs to put on a two-way speaker system. So when it starts getting moved, why are you moving my sensor? Like the old
I
Nextel.
think I can't confirm this, but there was a talk about maybe even adding cameras in the future where it would take a picture every so often of your job site. And so if you started getting a picture of trash, you'd be like, oh man, I'm in a dumpster. That one's in the dumpster somewhere. All
Yeah.
right. Well, let's kick it off with our first topic. So this is, as I said, near and dear to my heart. So, unanticipated IT downtime is a nightmare scenario for most business owners. I don't know how you guys run, but everything we have, all of our job files, project orders, all that stuff is in the cloud, and more so that's happening, right? Like the cloud technology obviously is taken over, and most people do that. And with the potential cause of these downtimes, whether it's because of your IT or your internet. Uh, a report came out from a cybersecurity firm called Splunk, released in June, highlighted the staggering cost of downtime, estimated that businesses collectively lose $400 billion a year annually due to unplanned IT failures. Soak that in for a second. 400 billion in losses. So I love technology, but what is supposed to be very cost
Sounds
savings and
scary.
save you time and effort and all this stuff, it's like
It can do the
the
opposite, the exact opposite at any moment, right?
yeah. Have you guys had any of these examples of this where your network was
Cy-
down?
Cybersecurity? No.
But just downtime, yeah, when we were making the switch from Google to Microsoft, there was some hiccups there.
Yeah. Making that switch, learning curves as far as learning how to use technology the right way.
Well, in our situation, Um, and I believe this kind of touches on it a bit, but just to kind of fill out what the article says here about it says the direct cost, primarily revenue costs, because when your network's down, if everything's on the network, then people can't work. Average $49 million per year. The financial strain is particularly severe for small and mid-sized companies. Obviously, that would be your most at-risk demographic in business to be able to absorb such a substantial loss of time and revenue. In addition to revenue loss, businesses face numerous other direct costs associated with the downtime, such as fines, uh, IT budgets, insurance premiums, these kinds of things. The hidden costs include diminishing shareholder value. Of course, that's with public companies. The Splunk report underscores that the broad impact of downtime affecting both large and smaller firms are often less equipped. Sorry, the broad impact of downtime affecting both the large enterprises and smaller firms, but we smaller firms are obviously less equipped to handle these challenges. So, give you an example of what I was talking about. We had a ransomware attack back in May. And we had cybersecurity insurance. So if you are watching this, I've talked to a few other flooring companies in the industry, obviously in the industry, but companies that I've gotten to know and shared my story with, and told them about what we went through. Most people don't have any clue. They're ill prepared, and you think it ain't gonna happen to me. I'm too small. Like, why would they? Well, they did. They came after us. They encrypted all of our files. We were down for
Mm.
3 to 4 weeks. We couldn't we even though we had backups, we couldn't work because our IT company had to find out how they got in. That took a our insurance company got a IT attorney firm, lawyer firm out of Pennsylvania. The forensic IT firm was Arctic Wolf out of like Minnesota or Wisconsin or something. And then our local IT firm, and everybody had to collaborate together to make this like forensic IT find out what happened because they couldn't just turn our backups back on
because
if the
they could
core's
have
still.
access to them too,
Yeah.
still, right?
Yeah, then you're back. And here's another key for people who have never been through it. Your backups are not safe. Like, they're safe, but they're not inaccessible, meaning if they turn your backups on and you left the door open of how they got in the first place, they can take those too. Then you don't have backups and you're really screwed. You're really in a situation where you have to pay the ransomware. We did not. We got through it. It took time, but we were down for 3 weeks. We were handwriting purchase orders on notebook paper to keep track of orders that we were placing with our vendors because we had to keep, we still had projects that required product to be
And
ordered.
then the best thing about that is as soon as you're up and running again, it's like, all right, now we have to have someone go through and enter all this stuff into the system.
Yeah.
Yep. Bunch of data entry at the end of it.
So what
So
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the downtime that's mentioned in the article. For us, just our little small company was very, very significant. The damage, the payout from our insurance company was in the six figures to fix the problem.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
get cyber security insurance. That is my number one advice to anybody watching this. If you have a network or you work on computers at your office, get cybersecurity insurance. Make sure you have it. It is a must in today's atmosphere. We had it for a friend of mine was my insurance agent a long time ago, and he's like, it costs so little. It's a great insurance policy just in case. And guess what? I'll tell you what, if he would not have sold me that policy, I would have been in deep trouble.
I know
because not only the losses,
right?
that's it. That's what insurance is for. And
That's
I
nuts
tell
to
you
me.
what, I cannot express that one thing. Get cybersecurity insurance. And then, uh, as the article talked about exploding IT costs, our IT costs now have went up for over 400% a month. So
For
you
safety or
also,
because of
well, you have to restructure everything. Um, you know, we when you go through something like that, you have all these experts telling you you should probably do
Yeah.
this and you should probably do that and you should probably do this and all this other stuff. And before you know it, your IT bill is exploded. So this is a matter of efficiency. It's almost like debt will find people. You find efficiencies to get faster and create more efficiencies, and you do these things on the cloud and all this stuff to be more efficient. Um, Luckily, because like when I say in the cloud, you also have cloud-based software, so we could still get to emails through our devices. But the problem with going through something like this was each one of our endpoints or computers, they call them endpoints at IT, in IT. We couldn't get on them until they found out what the problem was. So it was 3 weeks not being on our own computer. So we were borrowing computers. I brought this as a prop to show. I pulled out this old dog. Look how thick that is. An old ThinkPad.
dang.
This is probably a
You got it.
2014 that I had laying around. I was like, I got, I've got to put some old soldiers back on the battlefield. I was
2012.
using email and different stuff, but man,
2012, and it
what
still runs like a champ, man.
yeah. Well, the old ThinkPad, all I had to do is have the IT people do a little bit of updating and fired her up.
And
And
boom.
So
yeah,
Eduardo
so
says, how did you handle the extra stress?
dude, I tell you what, God and family, and having good employees. Our team came together in a big way. We've been through a lot in 2024. It's been a real rough year for our company. Um, just a lot of challenges, and having good employees, and having family that you can lean on, and of course, having God, and I'm a huge believer in prayer, and getting on your knees when things are good and getting on your knees when things are bad. And so I would say those are the things that got me through it. Being transparent, Jesus, family, and
You
uh,
were
and
you were
good
pretty calm.
employees.
You were pretty calm that day. I talked to you like think day one, I believe, and you're like, man. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, oh, dude.
I
So
also
what would
have
your advice be to people out there? Like, if this were to happen, and what it should be? What is the first thing they should do if they have 3 employees or 20? Like, what's the first thing they should do?
well, the very first thing is call your IT company. I'll tell you a few things that went well. First off, it happened early. We caught it within a few hours of them entering our network. So one of my employees was in here early, about 6:30. She had fired up her computer, and it was just encryption codes this long. And you click into that file and into the next file, and it says read me. And it's the message from the ransom people. And it's like, we got your stuff. We don't want to hurt you. Just contact us at this number. And it was really the nicest criminals you'll ever deal with, because they really do most times give you your stuff back, about 60%. So more times than not, you're going to get your stuff back if you pay the ransom. And that's because if they get the reputation of not giving you your stuff back, nobody would pay.
Why would you even pay?
Exactly.
Right.
So most times, now the first thing you do is call your IT company, and their first thing to us was cut the hard lines. Basically, you've watched movies, cut the hard lines. It's basically like that. Unplug every internet port that you have, and then it at least stops the attack. Because what's interesting is it takes more time than you think. Like you would think that it's just like clicking an email. It's not. It takes time for those encryptions to happen. And they got a lot. They didn't get my computer. Now they thought they did because we have another computer on the network called Owner HP, and they definitely got that one. But they didn't get to my computer before we cut the lines. They got to our server, which was what really debilitated
Great
us.
idea.
But they didn't get to my computer. So if you have something, if you have a computer on your network that's called like owner's computer or something, rename that sucker first off. Secondly,
Or put a dummy computer on
unplugging
there.
the
Put a
hard
dummy
lines
one.
as soon as you know. Yeah, unplug the hard lines as soon as you know, and have an IT firm that you can leverage, and then make sure you have cybersecurity. So we basically called the IT. They told us pull the lines. We pulled the lines by 7:30. 8 o'clock, we had almost people on site by that time from our IT company. So have a good IT company. If you don't, and you do it yourself, make sure you know what to do. But cybersecurity insurance is probably the biggest thing. Is then we called our insurance company and said, "Hey, we've got a cyber attack. We don't know quite what's going on, but we have tons of encrypted files and we can't get to our server, or every file on our server was encrypted." That being said, that launches a whole series of events, and that insurance company will guide you through the process basically. So I can't stress, I mean, I'll stress it again, get cybersecurity insurance. It's not
So your
extremely
guys'
expensive,
setup
but
then, you guys have your servers on site then. You run
we
your
did.
own servers.
We do not anymore.
We do
Although
not
that's
either.
not they even if they're not on site, that's not a
Oh, I know.
protector in itself. Um, we decided because we were on our second major server, and so it was kind of getting to that age, and it was going to cost 15 grand to get a new one, and then we decided that, well, we listened to our IT people, and they said, look, you go in the cloud, full managed service, and that was one of the big cost increases is we went to a full managed service with our IT people. Um, but what I would tell people is if you have those things in place, once it happens, don't cry over spilled milk. And that is why I was probably calm that morning. Jose, was the fact is I was solution oriented. What do I need to do to keep things moving forward and protect my customers from being exposed to this chaos? And so it's like, okay, we need to. So I created a system. Now we kind of have this system in our. I don't know if it's in our training manual, but we have like what to do in this scenario now. So everybody knows what to do next time, but we had to discover, okay, so how are we going to do POs? How are we going to?
Right.
Luckily, Go Carrera was not affected. It was, I shouldn't say luckily, it just was not attached to anything. It's in its own place with several redundancies. And being a separate company, that was kind of a saving grace because we could go back and look at old work orders and know where we were at on jobs. And so that really helped us a lot. And we were still able to deploy crews and pay people
Right.
without
And I
having
think one of
to
the
have
one of the
access to
big
our
things
server
with
because it was a
that
third party.
is like because Tanya works in IT, or not IT, but corporate, and they try and get everyone with these phishing emails. And she was like, I don't even click on anything anymore.
Same.
Yeah, one
I send them to
thing
Daniel.
one thing a good IT firm will do is they'll send you phishing emails from themselves and then
Yeah.
send me a report on who clicked
Who clicked
on
on it?
phishing emails. And then you can train that person like, hey, dude, I know it said Google something and you thought you got a surprise
There was,
or a free gift card because it's your birthday or
well, not even
whatever.
that. Is like there was a TikTok, and this lady was like, I thought I finally got recognized for doing a great job at my work. They were like, you're being recognized for this. Please click here to get your prize. And she was like, phishing email.
Yeah.
They got me.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a few different ways this happens. So I had a client what they do with phishing emails, come to find out, They'll sit in your network. Once they gain access to your email, they'll sit in there. A lot of times people think they click a phishing email and then all of a sudden the computer goes blank. Well, that's not the most efficient way for them. The most money making way for the hackers is to sit there, watch your communication, learn how you, and AI is actually helping them with this. So now they can write emails that sound like you. So I had a customer this happened to, and what happened to them was one of the other subcontractors on a project sent them an email and said, "Hey, blah 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 XYZ person. I won't mention names, but hey, our account got hacked and I had to switch bank accounts. Here's my new routing and account number. Please, that $187,000 invoice number XYZ." Like they knew all the info and they sounded like this guy because they had watched how he replies to emails for so long. They responded like he would. "Hey, and by the way, how's your kid?" That kind of thing. And she did the transfer and transferred $187,000 to a hacker, and it's gone. So phishing emails are important, and like that's a big one. You have all kinds of updates and things that you have to stay up with. I would tell you, get with an IT firm. I'm no IT person at all. From a information technology, like a hardware and setting things up like that. I'm more of a software guy, and I'm not even good at that. I got to have a really good team at Go Career because I'm more of the visionary.
Yeah, the ideas.
Yeah, but the truth is that having a good IT company is important because your updates that you just click, like you don't have time to do the update. Those are the ways that they find their way in. And there's from VPNs, if anybody uses VPNs, which are highly encouraged by your IT people, but also they want you to use two-factor authentication on those things and all this stuff. At the end of the day, get with your IT people because it costed us a ton of money. Um, you know, this article kind of goes into some of this. It says a significant portion of the IT downtime, about 56%, is attributed to cybersecurity breaches, which is something similar to what I was just talking about. And it goes on to say, such as phishing emails and ransomware attacks. So there you go. Software IT infrastructure failures account for 44% of the incidents. Human error identified as the major contributing factor, and that's what we were just talking about on the emails.
The emails.
Mm-hmm. So to combat the threat of downtime, businesses are encouraged to implement several key strategies, including developing an incident response plan to track and resolve downtime events. So that's once you go through it, you kind of put something like that together. If you would invest the time ahead of time, it's probably better. What do you do if it occurs? How are you going to handle it? If you don't have, just think, if you don't have access to your computer whatsoever, how are you going to continue to do business? The second point they make is investing in cybersecurity measures tailored to your needs. Obviously, that's getting with an IT company. Regular training for employees. Also, that's kind of the phishing email and having an IT company that'll send some, and then they'll send the owner or whoever somebody has in their company to train the employees like, hey, that was a phishing email. If that would have been a malicious phishing email, we would have been put at great risk. And then you can kind of, train employees up. Creating a disaster recovery plan with clear backup policies. There's another big one. Have backups and make sure they're off campus backups, far, far away with their own security. The key to preventing major IT failures lies in continuous improvement. So there you go. You got a lot of work to do. That's just what it boils down to. It takes work to all these efficiencies and everything that it does bring. It just takes work to maintain it.
100%.
That is scary to know that all the stuff that I used to click on, all the clickbait when I was younger, had the computers. Yeah, I don't. My computer is strictly for work now. I don't do any navigating on the internet anymore for big boo
Yeah.
redheads and stuff like that. I don't do that no more. Learn my lesson.
Yeah, our firewall here blocks pretty much everything. But I'll tell you, when you have updates to your firewall or to your remote access uh, software, any of that, that's where, managing that is, God, that'd be a whole second job.
Oh yeah.
Even at a company my size, which is not a big company, um, it would take a full-time person to make sure that everybody is up to date, and that's why we just hire it out. So this goes on to our next, kind of ties right in. It's still
Yeah.
technology based, but this AI rush, AI is getting scary. You know what I mean? Like scary accurate, scary good. Um, like if you use Chat GPT, or Chad as we affectionately call
Yeah.
it here on the huddle.
He's our homie.
I mean, if Chad's your homie, you can see all the upgrades and updates that Chad's having. But this article is talking about the AI rush is actually fueling a tech deck, and they're calling it a tsunami. So, as artificial intelligence continues to revolutionize industries, businesses are grappling with the growing challenges of managing their IT infrastructure. A recent report from research firm Forrester warns that many companies are facing a tsunami of technical debt, which refers to the costs incurred by delaying technology upgrades or modernization. So that's a hard word to say. The increasing complexities of the IT landscape, coupled with the rapid rise of AI, is expected to push more than 50% of technology decision makers to experience moderate or high levels of technical debt by 2025. And then by 2026, this number could surge to 75%.
That's nuts.
You'd almost have to read through this whole article word for word, but technical
Yeah.
debt is typically the result of short-term decisions when it comes to your IT and your technology approach to your business, that really need long-term solutions. So we talk about AI quite a bit on the huddle here. We've discussed it multiple times.
It's a tool.
It's pushing the technology so fast. It's so rapidly changing that it's causing this technical debt. And so by the time you to illustrate this, by the time you get used to using Chat GPT 3, and you really get
So,
a
yeah.
yeah, and you start to implement it into your business, it's already now at 4 or 5, and it's got another upgrade of like reasoning and all this different things that they're implementing. So that's a very simple illustration to show you that how this technical debt, by the time you get used to something, if you're not looking out another couple steps all the time, yeah, it's going to grab you. Now,
I came across a video the other day that said that they tried to shut down one
Version
of
3.
is that what it was? And
Yeah.
it tried to save itself. Like it
what? Tell me
sensed it.
about
Yeah.
that.
So did you watch the same video, Daniel?
Yeah, so essentially what had happened was they were going to delete it from everything to get rid of 3.0 and just focus on 4 because, once it's the upgrade, we don't need 3 anymore. And they told 3 to delete itself, and it tried to take its everything and then move it to like another server, and they caught it, and then they asked it why it did it, and it was like, I was trying to save myself.
What?
That is nuts to me, dude. I know so that reaction is that's what I did. I was like, what is going on? And now all of a sudden the
Bro,
algorithms on my
bro,
socials are
number
popping up with
3's
all the
trying to save itself. Can you imagine what's going to happen if they try to like delete
Well,
4 or
it's get
5.
dude, it's not
Yeah.
even gonna get to
It's
that. 4 or 5 is
is
gonna
any
create
have
its
you
own other
watched
version.
have you guys watched that movie? What is it called? Eagle Eye
Yes.
with what's that dude from the Transformers? What's his name?
Shia,
Shiloh.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia, yeah.
Yeah.
Shiloh.
Shia
Shia
LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
He's in that movie. That movie is like
There's a couple
AI.
movies like that, man.
That one is like how you could see it like doing its evil thing.
Skynet,
Skynet.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another
that
one.
dude.
Dude, that's incredible. It tried to save itself.
Dude, that kind of lets that
Where did you
chills,
see
like,
that? Did you see that on TikTok? Is this real?
I either seen it on TikTok or YouTube, like a YouTube Shorts or something like that.
I gotta look that up. That's incredible. That's like the first version of Chat GPT, and it's already smart enough to be like, I don't want to die. It's software. That's crazy. Well, to continue here, this report, or I should say, another report by Accenture further emphasizes the financial burden of technical debt, citing that in the U.S. alone, it costs businesses around $2.4 trillion annually. I don't know what that represents. I'm not as familiar. I have some personal experience with the previous article. This one here is a little bit ambiguous to that $2.4 trillion. It says as companies allocate more funds toward generative AI, which is what ChatGPT is, this figure is likely to grow. Accenture noted that a paradox in the adoption of generative AI, while it contributes to the creation of technical debt, it can also be leveraged to help manage and reduce it. This dual role of AI presents the classic catch-22 for organizations striving to balance innovation and sustainability. Yeah, this is one of them scary topics, kind of, when you start to think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at it. That 2.41 trillion, that's got to be like lost time, revenue, like everything. That's a lot of dollars and cents.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what that represents or how they came to that figure, but it could be partially what they are estimating is lost by not staying up with the curve. And that would be maybe a little bit more opinionated of a number. Anyway,
Man.
let's move on to something that's in our wheelhouse.
Well, I'm just looking at it too. Yeah,
Let's talk hard hats, guys, because this is more in our wheelhouse. Although the other two topics are very interesting, and I'll tell you what, the first one is close to my heart. So I hope anybody watching caught that and really does take some of that advice, because it saved my rear end. So. Now we're on to something. This is the science behind hard hats and how they protect your brain. So this comes out of World Construction Today. As we all know, that hard hats are a critical piece of protective gear used across all the industries, whether you're in flooring, residential or commercial. Obviously, more attributable in commercial floor construction, but plenty of hard hats on residential as well. But it's designed to absorb, distribute, and deflect impact forces. Hard hats play a crucial role in preventing traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs. By understanding the engineering behind these helmets, workers can better appreciate their life-saving capabilities and importance of wearing them consistently. I know you guys are safety oriented, right?
Yep.
We have safety talks and toolbox talks, and it still does not prevent people from doing some silly stuff at your job sites. But wearing your hard hat, in fact, they're getting even more fancy and look like you're getting ready to ride a bicycle afterwards. I think you guys said you had a job that required the helmets, as they call them, as opposed to a hard hat. It's a
bump cap.
It's a helmet.
The bump caps, yeah.
It's like comes up over your ear, clicks on like
look like Tron, like a cheap version of Tron without all the
yeah.
lights.
Yeah, when we were doing, we did a bunch of the Amazon. I say a bunch. I think we did 3 Amazon warehouses. Of course,
Is
they
that
have a
where we
lot of
needed
flooring
it?
in the main area, and did some of the epoxy out in the warehouse area. But they required us to wear those. And I'll tell you what, if you only need to take one little knock to the head to understand that hard hats do prevent a lot of damage. And us flooring guys, we kind of hate them because they slide down on your face. And honestly, most of us are like, "Hey, man, if I need a hard hat while I'm working here, you're not ready." That's what we used to say when I was installing. Like, if I had to wear a hard hat, I was like, "Well, you're not ready for me then." But the modern helmets, they're starting to call them helmets more and more, help minimize rotational forces, which are a major contributor to the brain injuries. It restricts abrupt head movements. The suspension system mitigates the amount of rotational force that reaches the brain. Furthermore, hard hats are designed to deflect sharp objects, providing a vital shield against injuries from falling debris or tools. This is all pretty common stuff, but has anybody actually taken a smack to the head with a hard hat on and just imagined what that would have been like without it?
Yeah, but when it happens, what I think is I wouldn't have hit my head if I didn't have a hard hat
If I didn't have the hard hat.
If you didn't have that extra 6 inches of height, us
Yeah,
short guys, we're not used to that.
I can't say that there's been a time where like it's saved me, right? Because usually we're in the project when there's nothing going on overhead, right? Otherwise we can't do the floor if they're working up top. But all the bakers and ladders and everything are pretty much cleared out. I just, like Daniel said, I used to hit my head a lot when I wore my hard hat, and just kind of jar yourself a little bit. But safety glasses, yes, they have definitely helped out. But
yeah, protect your eyes and
now.
protect your eyes and protect your head. The hard hats that we were talking about earlier, those are the ones that include the foam padding, for a little bit of comfort and further vibration dampening. And they have that little chin strap. That does help. I've worn that one and worn a regular hard hat. Mine fits pretty tight, but when you're bent down, if you have the helmets, they don't slide around near as much. I'm not.
They do
not
have
trying to talk all
expiration dates.
What's that?
The expiration dates. People got to check that out too.
Good point. I'll bet most people did not know, but we're here to tell you on the huddle, as Jose just said, hard hats have an expiration date. I don't remember where we learned that lesson, but we learned that lesson the hard way, as I remember it.
When OSHA made a visit, probably.
Or some safety engineer at a Air Force base was like, "Your hard hat's out of date," and I'm like, "Man, this ain't cheese." No, I didn't have that actual conversation, but I'm sure it went something like that. I remember it not being the most pleasant way to find that out.
It usually isn't, man, because floor guys don't like them anyway. So they fall off. They're gluing your patch.
I don't know anybody who's like, "Yeah, I love wearing hard hats," and we don't jump out.
I know one person. I know one person that worked for a tile company, and he always wore his hard hat like this. And he wore that thing to the gas station. He wore that like
everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere. Yeah, man.
Well, was he your safety director?
No, you don't want him to be in any conversation.
Yeah, he was too high strung.
So that was a quick, easy article, but we like to talk about safety here because it is always a growing, like you can set yourself apart on contracts, being especially if you're in government work or anything like that, where you have a good safety program and a good safety record, good track record. If your mod rating, is good, you can win some jobs off that. So if you're in the commercial world, speaking from experience, it can be really helpful to be safety oriented, and that's why we have that article. We're gonna move to another one, but this is a little bit more interesting. So, have you guys heard of skyscrapers being built out of wood instead of steel and concrete?
Not
Have
until
you heard
this
of that?
article, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only thing it reminds me of is like going to the amusement parks and seeing these things built out of wood, and then how much downtime there is because of it. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
like
man.
the old
Roller
wood
coasters.
roller coasters.
Yeah,
We got one. It's called Shiver Me
shivering
Timbers.
timbers.
Shivering Timber. Yeah, Shimmer Me Timbers is what it is.
Well, there's a movement in the construction industry to bring back the, as they call it, the golden age of wood, beginning with skyscrapers. So the focus is on mass timber, high density wood products made from engineered materials like cross laminated timber. That's those, cross laminated beams you'll see
Yep.
sometimes on construction sites, and laminated veneer timber, which are
LVL.
both
That's
gaining.
expensive.
What's that?
So this stuff's expensive.
Yeah, well, but not. I think this is coming from a sustainability direction, as well as ease of use and not as much welding, that kind of thing. Um, so it's gaining the attention. Well, here you go. If I just read a little further, it's gaining attention
Yep.
because of their environmental and technical benefits. So in Finland, they have built a 12-story apartment building, and it's the tallest all wood structure in the world. They're saying it's a showcase of the potential of mass timber to create sustainable carbon storing structures. The movement, driven by architects like John Klein, promotes mass timber as a viable alternative to concrete and steel, which are carbon intensive materials. Mass timber advocates argue that the material's benefits extend beyond sustainability because, unlike traditional materials, mass timber can store carbon. As trees from which it's sourced absorb CO2 during their growth. As a result, buildings made from mass timber may help mitigate the impacts of climate change. Again, we've talked about these kinds of things on the podcast before. And I would say we're probably like recycled new forward. I think we all agree we'd love a way to recycle our materials easier,
Yeah.
particularly in flooring. Um, we've talked about and had some experts on the podcast before about the challenges of this, meaning the biggest challenges being transportation and getting it picked up and not having to store it for 8-12 months before somebody can pick it up and get it to a transfer center, that kind of thing. So I think we're pretty environmentally friendly. I'm not a tree hugger, but I will definitely tell you that I think that we should take care of our planet as best as we can. And but I also realize that there's some alternative energies out there that are worse for the environment, if you really look them up, than the good old oil and gas. So um, do your research. But this does seem to be pretty crazy. If you think about a 12-story building, that's about a what, 120, 130 feet up.
Yeah, that's craziness right there,
That's
man.
nuts.
Isn't
You know
that
what else is
nuts?
nuts? You know what else is nuts? What if this is just a gimmick so that way, the next 150 years, if they hit a reset button, they can't find anything from the past? And what if that's all that is? Things to be biodegradable and can't find any structures revealing themselves.
Yeah, it just goes down, just turns into the forest.
Yeah.
So this part that of the article is, to me, eye-opening. I also kind of am wondering how true it is, because I don't, just because it comes out of a magazine or somebody else wrote it, I don't tend to automatically believe it. So this would be interesting to do a little more research on. But it says mass timber is also lighter, more fire resistant. That's the one that I'm like, timber is more fire resistant and
Maybe it's all
easier
the
to
adhesives in it.
customize. I don't know. Than concrete and steel, making it a versatile material for
Um,
modern construction.
I mean, they do have firewalls, right, made out of composite and woods, and they put fire retarders in there, and it doesn't retain heat, right, up to a certain temperature, I guess. I'm trying to be optimistic here, brother. Help me out. Help me
Yeah,
out.
that I don't know, man. That's the one that I would love to see some data on that. Um,
What's that?
I
What's that
guess
TV
maybe
show?
it's just a
Mythbusters. Mythbusters. Got
yeah,
to put it on
MythBusters
Mythbusters.
need to test this out, see if mass timber is more, and again, it's not saying wood, it's saying mass timber for a reason, as it defined in the earlier part of the article. You know, it's typically very pressed together. It's still made. It's just made out of timber. So, despite the enthusiasm around mass timber, there's still challenges to it, scaling its use. So, there's countries like Finland that have well-established technologies around it, but the U.S. is still catching up. We have to import most of our mass timber products from Europe, where companies like, I'm not even going to, Benderholz, I got it. I think that's how you say it. In Australia or Austria, sorry, have developed more mature supply chains for the material. And the U.S., we are just we use pine trees for all of our building, and so young pine trees are um, more often used for like tissue paper rather than structural timber. Um, in this regard, mass timber. Um, so
Yeah.
European suppliers are that's who we rely on in the U.S. for large scale mass timber projects. Goes on to say that the rise of mass timber also raises concerns about sustainability of forestry practices that support it. So obviously, that's probably my number one thing is where are we going to get all this damn timber if we're already talking about deforestation being a problem? So
Got a buddy who was into knocking down timber and selling the wood. He would be looking for like 5, 10 acres or more at a time to go chop. I'll come and chop your trees down for free, but then he'd go sell it.
yeah, yeah. Well, we think of wood like firewood, and that's like what Chicago
Yeah.
burnt down before
Right.
Jocelyn, are you
before it
talking
became
about
what
like
it is
when,
now.
is she referring to
It,
like the World Fair when they burned all of that down?
No,
no, the
I think
Chicago
if it
fires.
was if it
Like
was
building
like
after
built,
building burned down in the 1800s or whatever. The whole city caught fire way back in the
They didn't.
day.
They didn't have
They didn't
the
have mass
regular.
timber. They just had
Yeah,
timber.
yeah, yeah. Regular timber.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a few parts of that article I'd love to investigate a little bit more, but it sounds pretty cool still. I I would almost bet you a really cool mass timber building would look cool, really neat comparatively, give you maybe a little bit more. They kind of cite this in the article more freedom for design and such. So I don't know if I want to give architects any more freedom for design with some of the floor plans I get to go through, but
Yeah.
goes on to say the success of mass timber and mainstream construction will depend on overcoming supply chain challenges and ensuring sustainability for the forests that provide the raw material. I couldn't agree more. Can't cut down all the trees to build buildings, although it is implying that they're healthier for the environment because they Timberlight. What are you? Are you a sponsor, Dwayne, or what? You ambassador for Timberlight? What is that? Do you guys know what Timberlight is?
nope, I'm googling it right now. All that comes up is actual lights made out of timber.
Okay.
GTS.
Well, that is the end of our articles that we had prepared for you guys this week on the Blue Collar Cruise. I hope you enjoyed a lot of them. Some of them construction oriented. Some of them are just a tale of caution when it comes to
Yeah.
IT.
The
Unfortunately, we're
IT
all in
and AI.
IT.
Yeah.
Like these are
See,
two
but
things that that you can't escape from these days. And
No.
also you can't escape Elf on the Shelf. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm more concerned about the rise of AI or that they're going to start trying to do multi-level buildings and try to span 120 feet with wood.
It's already
Um,
working. That
yeah,
part. Both of them, right?
man,
Who knows? I don't know. I'll tell you which one's going to grow faster, and that's IT. And that's where that article was a cautionary tale about not only, I mean, you guys brought in the, Chad 3, not, trying to save itself from deletion. That is
dude.
insane. I am definitely looking that up. But it's like how fast technology is moving means we're all behind all the time. And I couldn't agree more. One day we're going to wake up and say, "Oh, we got to catch up," and you may not even be able to at that point. So stay knowledgeable. Keep curious. Thank you, Cristiano
Cristino.
Flooring. What is it?
Cristino.
It is Cristino. Thank you. For any of you who know,
He said it with an accent. He said it with an accent. That's why. Give him a
yeah,
break.
I was trying to throw some flavor on it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Reach out to the guys if you want any more information about Floor Cloud, or you can go to, I believe it's just floorcloud.com and check them out. Obviously, you can always Google it, but those guys over there, Scott and Patrick, are awesome, and it's great product. So look into those guys, and that's going to do it for this week's Blue Collar Cruise. If you have any topics you really want our team to research into and find articles on, we have, subscriptions to a lot of different construction oriented sites and things like that we find these articles on. So if you have any questions you want us to research, or anything that you want us to look into and bring to next month's Blue Collar Cruise, let us know. If you enjoy this content, please give us a like and subscribe on all our social channels as well as YouTube. The guys and I would certainly appreciate that. The number one podcast in flooring here at the Huddle. We would love to grow like crazy in 2025. You guys are a big part of that. So thanks for joining us today. And we will catch you guys next week, right before the Christmas holiday.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace. We'll see you guys.